Good morning, welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Saturday, October the 19th, 2024, and it's not a great day here, but I'll tell you what, it's a lot better than yesterday, because after I did the video, if you did see that by the way, it was starting to rain quite heavily while I was doing the video. Well, after I finished recording, let's just say it was pretty torrential. And little Neil and I were caught about 10 minutes from home. I didn't take the umbrella because it's a pain to carry and try and hang on to while I'm doing the videos, and hang on to him and hang on to my phone and everything like that. And well, the time I got home, fair dinkum, it was like I jumped in the pool. It was pretty funny. My wife thought it was pretty hilarious too. Little Neil wasn't too impressed because he looked like a drenched little rat. So anyway, let's hope it doesn't rain today, because again, I haven't got the umbrella. All right, on to the boxing, and of course, there's only one thing we're talking about today, and that is Tim Tszyu, Bakhram Murtazaliev. Both fighters have made weight. Bakhram Murtazaliev actually come in just a little bit light. There was actually word that he was struggling to make the weight, but he came in at 152.8, I think it was. So that's about, what's that, 1.2 pound, about half a kilo, which is not, I mean, it probably sounds like a little bit, it's not, I mean, half a kilo, it's half a kilo, it's not much in the scheme of things, is it? But Tim came in at 153.4. So both fighters there well under the weight, which goes to show that both professional athletes, they've both done the right thing. And obviously, if you were watching, wondering why they got on there, obviously with tracksuit pants and whatever else on, of course, if you follow boxing closely, you know they do it at about 8 o'clock in the morning, or it might be a little bit later, but anyway, about that time, and then they do the ceremonial weigh-in for all us fans out there to see. So look, I thought both guys looked really good. Bakhram Murtazaliev does look a little bit pasty, doesn't he? But I think that's just his natural complexion. I thought it might have been him being a little bit drained at the start, but he looked okay. Tim looked really, what would you call it? Fresh. Is that a word? The fresh, fit, strong, ready to go. I suppose that's all we can say about that. It was actually interesting. I'm not sure whether if you see Tim when he weighs in, he tends to crouch down first. I think he likens it to being like a lion or a tiger or something, and he crouches down and really gets down low. And you always see it when he weighs in against or stands off against these guys at the weigh-in, because I've got a feeling they all think he's about to start punching on right there and then. But it's just his little. Every boxer has at least one little thing that they do. I don't know whether it's an ADHD thing. You've got to remember these boxers and just athletes in general, they're so structured, a lot of them, and I remember I was a little bit that way when I was fighting. You get actually pretty bad ADHD. No, hang on, no, it's not ADHD. What is it? OCD. Sorry, not ADHD. OCD, where you get all these little quirks that you have to do. It might be putting your socks on a certain way. It might be warming up a certain way. It might be the way, the order you put your gear on. Who knows? There's lots of different things. And in this instance, Tim looks like one of his is that. He's at the weigh-in, he crouches down, looks up at his opponent, who again look like they're a little bit confused, but I think the photographers were saying, hey mate, can you get up? It's pretty hard to get some decent photos of you while you're crouching down like a hidden dragon or whatever that movie was. So but yeah, no, look, it was good. I think the both guys were interviewed. Really, it didn't really get much out of Murtazaliev as to be expected. Tim, I thought, spoke very well. The interviewer probably tried to spice things up a little bit by saying, there's been a lot of back and forth this week and all the rest. I think it's a little bit manufactured. I think we all know there hasn't really been any back and forth. Murtazaliev has basically said nothing, and Tim is trying his best to maybe add a little bit of spice to it with a few barbs here and there. But as we know, that's not really Tim's style. It's not really his thing with the trash talking. We probably found that earlier in the year when he was going to fight Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman just let go at the press conference, and Tim was a little bit taken aback. But I'm sure he'll get used to it. The odds are he's going to be in a lot of these big fights going forward. But a little bit manufactured as far as the spicy stuff goes. But either way, that doesn't matter. It means absolutely nothing when these guys get in the ring. I know it helps, gets the fans all excited and everything else. But I think when you've got good fights like this, as we saw last weekend with Bivol and Beterbiev, you don't need all that stuff. You just need two quality guys who are prepared properly, and are elite fighters, and they get in there and they go to war. That's what we want. And I know that's not the majority these days, because they're after those casual fans and the ones that like all the push and shove and all the rest of the crap. Give me just two elite fighters just going to war any day of the week. So, and wasn't it good to see Tszyu at the press conference yesterday? I forgot to actually mention it. What a buzz that would have been for the boys. You could see Nikita gave him a big bear hug when he first saw him. I thought it was fantastic. And of course, Tim got a bit of a shock. He snuck up behind him apparently and grabbed him by the shoulders. And you could probably imagine it was quite a buzz for Tim Tszyu as well. And I think it'll really give him a lift. I know that everyone's a little bit unsure about what to expect from Tszyu at ringside, but I think he'll be okay. He'll probably get up and probably yell and scream a little bit, but I think overall, I think he'll be fine. And I think it's great that he's actually at ringside for the big fight. So again, both guys made weight. All that's to be done now is to obviously get in there and lock horns. I think for the fight itself, just quickly actually on the undercard too, Matteo Tapia, I'll get to his fight in a sec. Matteo Tapia and Andy Sedra both made weight as well. I'm looking forward to that one. I think that's going to be a good test for Matteo Tapia, but I'll get to that fight in a sec. Actually, we might start with that one. Look, I think, obviously we all saw Sedra earlier in the year against Isaac Hardman. I thought actually Isaac Hardman did pretty well in that fight up until he was stopped, of course. If he can do well, I thought, look, I think Sedra, look, not a bad fighter from South America, but I just think that what I saw against Isaac Hardman, I'm not sure he's going to be able to go with Matteo Tapia. I think Matteo Tapia is a completely different beast to Isaac. I think he's bigger, stronger, more experienced, just probably an overall better rounded fighter than Isaac. And I think Sedra will probably be okay for 3 or 4 rounds, but I would expect that Matteo Tapia gets on top. And I'm actually thinking he could even stop Sedra late in 8 or 9 rounds. If not, I think he'll get a clear-cut decision win. So look, I think it'll be a really good test for Matteo Tapia. I think it's great for him to be on a card of this magnitude. He's obviously looking to step his career up as well, and that's the way you do it, taking on quality guys, and Sedra is a quality guy. But again, I think that Matteo Tapia is overall, well, you name it, he's pretty much got Sedra covered in all areas, just in my opinion. All right, on to the main event. So with Tim and Murtazaliev, look, this could go probably a couple of different ways, but just to look at it, I've actually looked at a fair bit of Murtazaliev on YouTube this week. Excuse me there. Just to get a little bit better feel. I've seen him fight a couple of times before, but I just really wanted to study him and sort of picture him in with Tim Tszyu and the way I think it's going to go. Look, I think he'll come out smoking. There's probably no doubt about that. He's going to come out strong. He likes to start fast. He likes to throw bombs. But geez, I think in this instance against someone like a sharpshooter like Tim Tszyu, it's look, he might have a little bit of success early on, but I just think it might work against the Jack Colcays of the world, where you can come out throwing them from everywhere and having that success. But Tim Tszyu, I think his IQ, he'll know what's coming. It's not like he doesn't telegraph his punches, by the way, Murtazaliev. They just come from everywhere, and he throws them back from his corner sometimes. So I think that Tim will pick his shots. I think for the first 2 or 3 rounds, he'll take his time. He did say actually he wouldn't mind knocking Murtazaliev out in about 30 seconds, but I don't think that's going to happen. Murtazaliev way too tough. I think that as I said, Murtazaliev will come out and give it a real crack early on. I think his first big fight of this magnitude, I think he'll have the nervous energy, and I think he'll probably be a little bit nervous about what Tim has to offer as well. And I think that that will probably give him a little bit of early success. Maybe he might win a round or 2 early, but I just think once the sting goes out of the fight and the dust settles in it all, and both guys, or especially Tim, finds his groove and finds his range and timing, I just think it's just going to be target practice for Tim Tszyu. I think once, and Murtazaliev has shown that he does slow down, he does gas. It definitely leaves himself open a fair bit when he punches. His defence is not overly great either. But look, make no mistake, he's a tough guy, and he'll give it everything. I just think that once Tim does find his range and timing. And it could spell lights out for Murtazaliev. Not so much as far as probably getting knocked out. I don't think Tim's that, well, he has shown he's done it a little bit in the past with a couple of fighters, but I think Murtazaliev's probably a little bit level above the Tony Harrisons of the world at that stage of his career anyway, Campo and these types of guys. But I just think I could just see a referee stoppage in about 7 or 8 rounds. I just think Tim's definitely on a mission here. And look, to be honest with you, if Tim can't do the job on Murtazaliev impressively, then maybe he's got to reconsider some of the big fights down the track, because the likes of Crawford and Ortiz and even Spence, and we saw it against Fundora, I think a couple of levels above what Murtazaliev is, and I'm sure Tim would be conscious of that. He needs a very impressive performance to get those fights with those guys. So yeah, the ball's in his court, but I just think, again, he'll ride the storm early, or the barrage early from Murtazaliev. Not get too excited, not get involved in a slugfest, and he'll just find his way as he does. Be patient and take another soul, as his nickname sort of says. So that's what I'm thinking, guys. Maybe 7 or 8 round stoppage by the referee. I'm probably thinking he'll stop the fight. So, but again, really looking forward to it. Just on the fight, if you're looking for some company tomorrow when you're watching it, make sure you watch the live watch along. Starts at 10:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, or daylight time. So it'd be good if you haven't done it before. Look, it's just boxing fans on there. We, obviously you guys watch the fight, but we all comment. I'm sure you've probably seen other YouTubers do them as well. But it's a really good way to watch the fight if you want some company. On to some other news. Just quickly, I did see that the promoter Ben Shalom has launched a protest about the gloves of Fabio Wardley, about last week's fight, where Fraser Clark was obviously knocked out in the first round, and he got that horrific dent in his head caused by jaw, and I think it was his jaw or cheekbone, I think, and it caused a dent in his head. Not great at all. So, and apparently, according to Ben Shalom, the doctor likened it to a brick being thrown at his head, and he wants the gloves examined. Frank Warren has gone absolutely apeshit over this and has called it libelous. So we're going to see another lawsuit. I don't know, but he's obviously insinuating that there was something wrong with the gloves. And Frank Warren, of course, is clapping back at that, saying that, the gloves were fully inspected, everyone signed off on them, and it's just a bad coincidence, which I agree with. I don't think there's anything wrong with the gloves. At these big fights, you see sometimes it's a little bit of overkill, if anything. They look at them, they scrutinise them to the nth degree. They probably make them change them 2 or 3 times just to be pains in the asses. But I think in this case, I think it'll blow or be pushed under the rug or swept under the rug, unless Frank Warren decides that he will pursue legal action. So it's a little bit of a shame that we're still seeing that. But look, make no mistake about it. It was, you'd be scratching your head thinking, how the hell did that punch do that damage? But look, things happen. We see these things all the time. So, well, not all the time, but rarely they come up. But when they do, it's just one of those freak accidents. So let's hope we don't get too legal with that one. And just finally, how could we sign off without responding to Oscar De La Hoya's clap back Thursday? I think it was actually a day late this week. Just come out last night. I really look forward to Oscar's clapbacks, and I think I like to actually sort of fact check him a little bit, because just not fact check him, but I suppose respond to what he's saying and probably balance it out a little bit, because his motto is, it's not, what does he say? It's not hating if it's the facts, or something like that anyway. But let's have a look what he said this week. And it mainly featured again on Eddie Hearn and the lawsuit from the Haneys. Now, the lawsuit, this is an interesting one. And he was good at actually clapping back at that, by the way, pointing it out. But the main one was the money. All right, so apparently the fight only did 300,000 buys. Apparently Oscar De La Hoya paid the Haneys all they were due. And now they want a review of the numbers because they don't think they were paid enough. And by Oscar's sort of body language and what he was saying, I think he's probably correct. I think he's probably open to letting them open the books. 300,000 does sound a bit light, but end of the day, sometimes these fights just don't sell for whatever reason. Maybe it was to do with the antics of both guys in the lead up. Maybe a lot of people didn't think that Ryan Garcia would actually make it to the fight. I don't know, but that is one of the contentious issues of the lawsuit, is that the Honeys are contending that it did do more than 300,000, so they want more money. The other one, and this is the funny one, the Honeys are claiming a battery in the lawsuit, and Oscar De La Hoya quite rightly said, well, you do realise you are a professional fighter and you are actually getting paid to batter each other. And that's just bizarre that you have a professional fighter seeking damages over battery from another professional fighter. Did have a crack at his boots, but I think everyone's had a crack at them along the journey, haven't they? But yeah, look, it's always sad to see these things. But look, in this instance, I'm right behind Oscar in this. I think the Honeys need to step off and, as they say, stay in their lane and stop being little pussies about the whole thing. And I think actually the other thing he did cover or look at was the Ostarine that was in Ryan Garcia's system. Now, not that we condone that at all, but what Oscar was saying, I'm not sure if it's right or not, saying that experts or other athletes had looked at the amount that was in his system and said it was absolutely minute and it would have made no difference whatsoever. So again, not condoning having anything in your system, but that's what the experts and other athletes are saying, is that it would not made any difference. And the only reason that Haney was battered the way he was is because of Ryan Garcia's left hook. And he did give him a beat down, didn't he? So again, more legal stuff, but he did get stuck in Eddie Hearn as well, and I think that's going to be a little bit back and forth. And what I really like about the videos now is he's obviously got himself an editor or a producer or whatever, and I love it. I think the little sound effects and little grabs he puts in there and the little photos or videos he puts in. He made mention that Eddie Hearn had 14 main event fighters this year who had been beaten. The only thing, again, I'll say about it is, who, apart from Ryan Garcia, and I suppose you could say Virgil Ortiz, but this is a one clap back to Oscar. I've got, well, who are you to be having a crack at Eddie Hearn about all his fighters when you haven't really got any fighters? You take Virgil Ortiz and Ryan Garcia out of the equation, and Garcia's out of action for, what, another 6 months or 7 months. He just doesn't really have anyone on his roster either. And Garcia was apparently going to sue him. So I don't know. I just think, look, as childish as they probably both are sometimes, I think it's great entertainment. I think the reason they are so at odds with each other is because they're so much alike, and I think it's great for boxing. I really do. And I like the fact that Oscar's just taken it down just a little bit, where he's not actually acting like a clown. He's just giving his clap back in good spirits and having a little bit of fun with it. So as long as he keeps it like that, I like it. Before that, it was probably a little bit over the top. But I think it's good for some entertainment. And again, I think I said it in a previous video, I wouldn't be surprised at some stage if he has his own YouTube show. I wouldn't have thought so. But yeah, always entertaining. So guys, that's going to do it for today. I'm going to get home. The clouds are starting to roll over, and get ready for a big fight day tomorrow. Again, check me out at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Standard Time. Until then, have a great day.